We are live. Thank you so much, guys. Welcome to the Kunal Call. I am joined by Atif, all the way from Canada. How are you, Atif?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me, Kunal. I'm really happy to be here to discuss pro wrestling with you today on your podcast.
Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get straight out into business. The AEW AEW event that happened, AEW All Out. What did you think of the event? And there were certain big things that
It wa-
happened during the event. So please go
it
ahead.
was average in my opinion. There was some really good stuff, and there were some things that weren't all that great compared to last year's AEW All Out. And I actually attended last year's AEW All Out in Chicago, and
Wow.
it was great. But the only thing that was missing this year was the crowd. They did have some people, but obviously not enough because of social distancing. So my favorite matches of the year were of the night were the women's championship match between Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida.
Mm-hmm.
Then was the MJF versus Jon Moxley. It got pretty brutal. And the best match of the night, in my opinion, was the tag team title match between FTR and Hangman and Omega. That was
Mm-hmm.
simply just like gold. And
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that FTR just made one hell of an accomplishment. They won the NXT tag team titles, they won the Raw tag team titles, SmackDown, and now AEW as well. So they're unarguably the best tag team in the world right now.
They've been going all around the world doing this
Hmm.
stuff, and it's
Yep.
great, because they lost in the WWE. They were let go because of the COVID situation, and they've gone to NXT, and just like it's been crazy over there. They have actually gone there and done things, achievements, because it's not easy to win a tag team championship, and they won. And
Yeah,
against
they
all,
won it because AEW knew how good they were and how badly they were mistreated in WWE. Like on the
yeah,
main roster, the WWE Tag Team division isn't all that great. They're not managed properly. There's no vision. It's just
yeah.
like maybe one or two matches in a year that are like very exciting, but overall, there's no direction in the WWE Tag Team division, which is
What
why
do
they
you?
left.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there was one particular match I saw,
Mhm.
the tag team division, the
Mhm.
AEW Revolution pay-per-view that happened in Feb.
Yeah,
The Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman.
Hangman
And
Page.
honestly, that was a crazy match. That was
Mhm.
so crazy, man. Do you think the level of tag team has gone down in WWE?
For sure, except for NXT. NXT, they're still taking like everything that they do seriously. It's only Raw and SmackDown where, who is properly managed by Vince McMahon. He is not taking the tag team division seriously.
I think you're not taking anything seriously because recently there was a Twitch ban on the WWE what say wrestlers. What do you think about that?
Well, it's very unfair for sure. Like these wrestlers were let go. They're not making enough money as it is because of the pandemic, and I'm pretty sure they're not getting paid as well as they once were. And they need to supplement their income at the moment. And WWE not allowing them to like work with third-party content creators, that's just cruel. I mean, first of all, their contracts say that they're independent contractors, which means that they're allowed to do whatever they want to do outside of WWE. But this is just going too far now. This is like slavery,
Yeah,
and WWE apparently even owns their real names, which is ridiculous.
I think the way, like, if you see AJ Styles, Page, these people are big on Twitter, to sorry, Twitch, even
For sure.
Up Up Down Down YouTube channel, if
Yeah.
you know about that.
Xavier
The
Woods.
Yeah,
The video game
so
channel, Xavier Woods, yeah.
yeah, I think it's a good way of wrestlers interacting with the audience, showing them that they're normal, showing them that they're it's okay to be a gamer, it's okay to be a streamer, talking about things. But recently, I think it's according to rumors, but I think it's because of AJ Styles admitting to the fact that he was COVID positive. If it's because of what he had admitted that he
I'm
was
not
COVID
sure
positive.
if it's that, but there are rumors saying that it's because of what Lana did. She was endorsing a energy drink, which is being endorsed by a lot of fitness models on Instagram called Bang Energy. So
Okay.
they were saying that was the straw which led to Vince McMahon pulling the plug on the WWE wrestlers working with third-party content creators. And WWE, I don't know if you saw this, but they released a press release statement saying that like Disney and Warner Brothers, they want to protect their intellectual property. I understand that, but everyone who's under contract working for Disney and Warner Brothers movies, they are allowed to work for other studios at the same time. Now look at James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy, the director. He's working with Warner Brothers for their Suicide Squad movie. I mean, isn't that saying something?
I think he's lost the plot, Vince McMahon, in terms of the situation that he's not supportive enough.
Mhm.
He can actually hold a meeting and just say that, you know what, you can't do this, you can't do that. Don't ban them. I think it's a very cruel thing to do, And with with AJ Styles, I want to go with the AJ Styles topic for a second here. Him and Paul Heyman are not in good terms apparently. Do you think AJ might leave WWE because, let's hear me out, because his best friends have been thrown out of the company. He's an avid Twitch user. He uses Twitch a lot, and he has a lot of subscribers, 30,000 subscribers. He must have getting so much money from that. He might consider going to AEW. Who knows? Because AEW might even give him the money, and he has honestly a much better opportunity in AEW to succeed for me.
That's a very good point that you bring out there. He does have a lot of good friends in AEW, and he's doing extremely well on Twitch. And I don't
Yeah,
think the heat between him and Paul Heyman is real. I just feel like when WWE had to let Paul Heyman go, it was because Vince McMahon was not happy with the ratings. Actually, Paul Heyman had a vision. He wanted to push a lot of new wrestlers like Aleister Black, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander. He wanted to make new stars, but Vince McMahon was not sold on that idea. So I feel he wanted to make Paul Heyman look like a scapegoat. So he used
yeah.
AJ Styles to say all those things about him, and that's not the first time Vince McMahon has done something like that. He made Seth Rollins talk trash about Jon Moxley after he left and joined AEW. So
So,
I
speaking
don't
of
think.
John, say,
Mhm.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I don't think AJ Styles might leave WWE all that easily because they're taking really good care of him. They already have him on a very lucrative contract, but you never know.
No, because if you see him as a wrestler, because he has done everything there is to be done in WWE, he's not in any major feud right now, and he has no trust with Paul Heyman. Like he is a big person backstage, whatever people say,
Mhm.
but he's a very important guy in terms of creative stuff and everything.
Mhm.
Because he's on SmackDown, and he might have to work with Roman Reigns, who became the Universal Champion
Yeah,
recently. What do you think about Roman Reigns becoming the champion?
I think it's a good idea that they finally decide to like stop pushing him as a baby face because he was clearly not on that caliber as John Cena or The Rock to become the next
Yeah.
face of the company because the fans just didn't want him as the next superstar. So pushing him as a heel now is a much better idea, and aligning him with someone like Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman is good on the microphone,
Yeah.
and Roman is not all that great when it comes to words. His promos were like mediocre to say the least over the years.
And he has been scheduled to face his own cousin at Clash of Champions. Do you
Jey
think that's a
Uso.
good idea? Yeah.
It's a novel idea. Like, Jey Uso was never, like seen to be as a solo star, let alone be, in the main title picture. It's something new and fresh for a change, but we all know what the result is going to be. He's not going to win. So,
Yeah, obviously he's not going to win because they need Roman Reigns to become a heel, proper heel. Let's talk about AEW All Out. You touched on the subject of the matches that happened. I want to touch on one and two particular things: Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy, and Matt Hardy. Matt
mhm,
Hardy had a match with Sammy Guevara in a Broken Rules match, and there
yep,
was one nasty bump that happened. Like I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think he's done."
yep,
And literally the next in 1 2 minutes they canceled it again. He got up and he was doing some kind of action. They climbed a barrier and they threw
yep,
the other guy, and Matt
After
Hardy won the match.
capturing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Do you
was.
think? Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel the match was cut short. I think they did it as they had planned initially because we already saw a lot of Matt and Sammy Guevara. They had a tables match the week before on Dynamite, so that's why they didn't feel the need to like prolong this match, and that's why they kept it short and sweet. But it
But
was okay.
regarding Matt Hardy, did you see the bump?
Yes, I did. It was it looked very real. It looked convincing. But then
Yeah.
again, I feel like they probably wanted to make it look that way, because
So you think it's planned?
most likely yes.
Okay, because many people on Twitter are saying that it's not planned and stuff. They're like it might be too real. But even Mick Foley tweeted it with the fact that he's not getting any young and
Hmm.
stuff like that, because Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy are known for taking some crazy stuff over the years.
Exactly, yeah.
But do you think they should actually tone it down a little bit because of the age, and it's so dangerous?
Well, Matt Hardy, he feels like he can still go on, and he's not all that old anymore yet. So he clearly took that steel chair shot, from Guevara, like
Yeah.
a few weeks ago on AEW, and he kept going on. So I think he's still got a little bit more left in the tank, like his brother Jeff. You know,
Yeah.
he seems to be in a
Uh,
better shape and condition than Jeff as well.
yeah, that's true, and he's looking like he's having more fun in the AEW than he was in having in WWE.
For
With his
sure, yeah,
character and stuff.
because he said that the reason why he left WWE is because Vince McMahon wanted to make him a backstage producer and not a wrestler anymore,
Mm.
and to
Yeah.
help out younger wrestlers. And he said he has no problem in doing that. It's just that he doesn't want to do it right now. He still feels
Mm.
he has a lot more to offer in the ring.
Yeah. I want to touch on Chris Jericho. He had a match with Orange Cassidy, and for me, Chris Jericho is by far the best wrestler, one of the best ever.
Yeah,
He's up there for me with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Um, this ungiven talent he has of putting over people.
mm,
He has made Orange Cassidy a star
yeah,
with the promos, with the debates. They got Eric Bischoff back in AEW, which is
yeah.
a master stroke. How do you rate his impact in AEW? Because he's, I think, the biggest focus point in AEW, and he's nailing his role perfectly. And he's leading that fight between AEW and NXT for me.
For sure, yeah. I mean, AEW wouldn't be where they are without Jericho. He was the blue chipper when they, announced his signing at the uh, Double or Nothing rally last year. When
Yeah.
they first announced all the stars who are going to be involved in AEW. They had Cody, Young Bucks, Hangman, Pac, and Kenny Omega. So that's when people like really took AEW seriously, because Jericho is like one of the most well-known wrestlers in the world. And it's because of him, like AEW Dynamite has been doing so well, and he's the one who's selling the most merchandise over there too. Has a bubbly, little bit of the bubbly drink that was also like sold out in a few months.
And Le Champion, that scarf.
The scarves and the action figures, and all the T-shirts and stuff. He's the number one seller for AEW. So, and like you said, he makes new stars. Like, look what he did with Orange Cassidy recently, and then he also had a match with Scorpio Sky last year briefly, and Scorpio Sky was hot when he pinned him. He gave Jericho his first pinfall loss.
What did I say about Chris Jericho? Because he's accomplished everything in his career, and he's gone to AEW looking for a new challenge. And with his last WWE stint, where he was with Kevin Owens, and that was the biggest storyline of the year, and they were second opening match in the WrestleMania, which really pissed everyone off because they should have been given the main event. Do you think he'll go back to WWE, or do you think he's just gonna?
Like there's a really old saying in the wrestling business called "Never Say Never." So, but at
Yeah,
this point, I don't think they're gonna want him back anytime soon, because he's led the charge, he's led the competition against them,
yeah,
and say in the future if WWE, if AEW is unsuccessful and WWE manages to wipe them out, like everybody else that they've been working against, he may end up going back there. But I don't think WWE is going to be all that keen with him like they once were. He
But you
could,
can't ignore his talent.
for sure. But he's also like closing in on his 50s, so I don't think they're gonna
Yeah.
want him as a wrestler there anymore. He may just be like an on-screen personality or a backstage producer at the most. So
Mm. So let's talk about MGF and John Moxley. Um, how do you think John Moxley has done? Basically, Dean Ambrose, who was in WWE. How do you think he has gone? How do you think he has done over there? Because there were so many, what do you say, things that he will, where he'll go, what he'll do, and then he suddenly shows up in AEW. How has he done according to you? And how was the latest match like that happened just last night?
well, John Moxley, like it's all there. It's a crystal clear, cut and dry. He's obviously done way better in AEW because Vince McMahon never had any kind of interest in him. The best they've done it with him in WWE was when he won the Money in the Bank and he won the WWE title. But then they just gave him that title for like 2 months, and he lost it to AJ Styles, who obviously became the bigger star. But yeah, like Vince McMahon had no vision for him, so I don't blame him for leaving. And I don't know if you've listened to the podcast that he was with Jericho last year after he made his debut at All Out. I mean, at
Yeah,
Double.
I heard that.
He clearly like outlined his frustrations working in WWE. Like he didn't like the creative process there. He was very unhappy with that. The scripts that they used to give him every week on Raw were just terrible. They made him say like some really ridiculous things which he was not happy with at all. And he used to like he said he got into depression working there. And he knew no matter how many zeros whatever they add in his contract, no matter how much more money they offer, nothing was going to make him stay. He was leaving, and that was like a set deal for him. He's not going to stay in WWE anymore. And
So,
AEW
talking
took
about,
him
yeah,
seriously,
yeah,
and they gave him a really good first starters uh, feud with Kenny Omega, which
yeah,
was amazing. His match at Full Gear, it was just like
pretty good.
unbelievably good. With the glass pieces, the shattered glass pieces, the barbed wire, the ice picks, the rope. It was just brutal. It was barbaric. It's stuff that you won't see in WWE anymore because of their show rating. That's what the fans miss, and that's what the fans love. So he really is enjoying his time in AEW, I believe, and I don't think he's ever gonna go back to WWE.
How do you think he has done as an AEW championship? Sorry, AEW champion. And
Hmm.
how do you think MGF has done? Because MGF gave a fantastic promo, for the build up of this match. I think he's the next big star. I think
Hmm.
after John Moxley, he can become the next champion. Because with AEW, I see that they are trying to build up stars like Jericho doing with Cassidy,
Hmm.
Moxley is doing with MGF. These two people were not in the main event last year, and now they are the main event. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
so what do you think about that?
Well, MJF is for sure, world championship material. The guy, just proved it when he had that legendary promo, last month. He's
Yeah,
really good on the mic. It's there. Everybody knows MJF is like golden when it comes to talking, and he really knows how to like get under people's skin and make them hate him. So he knows how to draw heat, and he's definitely a star in the making. And I was honestly bewildered that he didn't win last night. And it would
mm,
have been great if he did for two reasons. One, it would have given us something fresh for AEW. Two,
correct.
he is only 24 years old, and he could have tied Randy Orton's record of the youngest world champion in the wrestling industry. So
But is that too early for him, according
that's
to
what
you?
they say. Like it was probably too early for him. That's why they probably didn't give him the title. But I think he was, ready to go as the world champion. Because the
Yeah.
fans know him. and like there are a lot of people who appreciate his work. Cody is a big supporter of his, and Cody has a very big hand behind his push right now. But I feel eventually down the line we will see him become the world champion soon.
So we just talked about MGF and John Moxley. I want
Mhm.
to go back to WWE. You see Chris Jericho complaining about the creative process. You see CM Punk complaining about the creative process. You see John Moxley complaining about the creative process. Even AJ Styles, with
And
sorry, with
FTR.
yeah, exactly, an FTR with John Moxley. He was given a feud with Nia Jax, which was absolutely bullshit. There was no connection to him and her because it was not. They just trying to push her as the next China or something, next wonder of the world. Because she's so big and strong. What do you think? There's a problem in WWE. No, I know about Vince McMahon is, yeah, people don't like him and stuff, and it's because of him. But now AEW, you can see there's another opportunity for wrestlers to go to AEW. Like even for Zack Ryder, he went to AEW and he's
Matt
getting a big
Cardona.
push over there.
Mhm.
Exactly, Cardona. So what do you think there's a difference between WWE and AEW right now? And do you think because the working environment in WWE, they might jump ship to AEW?
Well, the biggest difference is with the creative process and like the leader. So
Hmm.
Tony Khan, he actually like works with his creative team very closely and with the wrestlers. Vince McMahon, on the other hand, is on like a totally different planet. He, it's very hard to please him, and it's understandable because he's really old. He's 74, I believe, right now, and he has a lot of responsibilities, like in terms of like ratings and stuff. But I don't think he's going about it the right way. Like the creative teams, they work hard day and night coming up with good scripts, and he just rips them apart, makes them do it again, seeing how he feels that would be best for the show. But he needs to change that. He needs to be more, lenient on his creative team, like Triple H is with his and NXT, and clearly it shows why NXT is the better, show among the three.
So you talked about NXT. So let's touch on NXT and AEW, the Wednesday Night Wars.
Wednesday Night Wars.
So what do you think about that?
Well, it's it's really good. Like competition is good for everybody. That's what even Stephanie McMahon said when AEW was coming out last year, and you can see the results. Like there are a lot more people from the 18 to 49 demographic logging on to watch NXT and WWE. NXT and Dynamite instead of Raw and SmackDown because they know like Raw and SmackDown isn't as great as it once used to be, and AEW and NXT is what reminds them of the old Monday Night Wars between WCW and Monday Night Raw, and they want that again. They want that passion from both wrestling companies, to like
Yeah.
be the best they can be, and you can clearly see that with the AEW and NXT because they're stepping up their game every week, and most of the time so far AEW has been winning the war, but there have been a few weeks where NXT did win in the ratings, and because of that, AEW saw that they had to step up their game, so they scheduled some amazing shows after that. I remember that one episode where they had the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and Blade in the tag team Falls Count Anywhere match, which was insane. And then they had the Cody versus Kingston match and a no DQ match with the thumbtacks. That was really fun as well. So AEW takes what they do very seriously,
Do
and
you think,
NXT as
yeah,
well.
with WWE NXT, Finn Balor going to NXT
Hmm.
has made it more important because Finn Balor was when he was in Raw and SmackDown, he was not the guy. And
Yeah.
recently there was a fatal four-way match for the NXT Championship, and which has resulted in a tie between
Adam
Adam
Cole.
Cole and Finn Balor. You think Adam Cole is on the way to become one of the best superstars to ever see because he's produced fantastic matches and Finn Balor is getting his due and in NXT?
Adam Cole is the best wrestler in the world right now, in my opinion. And he has shown that during his NXT championship reign. He was champion for like 408 days. He had some incredible matches, with Johnny Gargano, with Pete Dunne. He also led the War Games match for the third year in a row. Undisputed Era. They've been the forefront of the War Game matches. Like they've been in all of them, and he's led them. Then he's also had great matches with like other people like Velveteen Dream, and
Yeah.
finally he lost the title to Keith Lee, which was also a really really tremendous matchup. And Keith Lee as well, great star. He's like the new Samoa Joe. And Finn Balor. Finn Balor coming back to NXT was exactly what he needed and exactly what NXT needed with this Wednesday Night Wars, because Finn Balor's career was going nowhere on the main roster. He
Exactly.
first, he first won the Universal title, but unfortunately he got injured at the same time. And after he came back, it's like, everybody moved on from him, and they just had him stuck in the mid cards, winning the Intercontinental title, and that's about it.
But do you think he should? He was. Do you think with WWE they forget their stars too early just because they're injured? For example, like Finn was injured, and Seth Rollins was injured, but they gave Seth the attention, not Finn Balor. So basically, they just like give attention to the person they like, but not to the person who was the champion. So do you
Pretty
think
much.
that's the thing?
Yeah, there is definitely favoritism in WWE when it comes to Vince McMahon and even Triple H for that matter. But Triple H is more fair. Like
Hmm.
he knows, like if someone's injured, he will give them a chance again. So that's what he's done with Hideo Itami, who is now Kenta. He's left WWE and gone back to New Japan. But
Okay.
unfortunately, Hideo Itami got pulled up to the 205 Live, and they didn't do anything with him there. So he got frustrated and left as well. So Finn Balor was also unlucky that way, but he got lucky when NXT pulled him back.
Hmm.
And NXT has been a little more fun. He's helped make new stars at the same time. He had great matches at Takeover with Johnny Gargano, Matt Riddle, Damian Priest, and I forgot who he wrestled recently. Timothy Thatcher. All
Yeah.
great matches. 5-star caliber matches.
So the fight between WWE and NXT is resulting in a lot of jobs, resulting in a lot of competition,
Hmm.
and I think it's going to go on for many many years because with the fact that there's two major companies. I don't think AEW is going to go out anywhere. I think they're going to be in business because they know how to do business. They know how to build stars with Cody and you just mentioned Tony
Tony Khan.
Khan. Yeah, exactly. He made a statement that AEW Double or Nothing was better than WrestleMania, which I
Okay.
don't agree with. Which I don't agree with, but I love both.
It's up to
I really did.
interpretation, like they were both great. Like
Yeah.
WrestleMania, they had some amazing matches, like the Boneyard match between Styles and Undertaker, and then there was the Last Man Standing match between Edge and Orton,
That was
and
crazy, man.
the ladder match between the three tag teams, and the Firefly Funhouse match, which was insanely popular. I wasn't all that sold by it, but I'm not stupid. I know how successful and popular it was. But at the
Yeah.
same time, Double or Nothing gave their best as well with the Stadium Stampede match
That
between the
was so
Individual
fun
and
to
the
see.
Elite. That was very fun. They did a lot of entertaining spots there. Then there was a great match between Cody and Lance Archer to crown the first ever TNT champion,
Yeah.
and a very action-packed match between Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida for the women's title, and Evan Moxley versus Brody Lee, who is the new leader of the Dark Order, and now the Dark Order is like much more relevant than they were last year because of Mr. Brody Lee, who was
And because
another
of Zack
wrestler.
Ryder. I think Zack Ryder is in there or no?
No, Zack Ryder is not with the Dark Order. He's with
Yeah.
the Nightmare family with Cody. But yeah, I would like to touch upon Brody Lee as well. He's another wrestler who used to be in WWE as Luke Harper, and he was amazing in the ring. Like you could see him perform those suicide dives. For
Yeah.
a guy of his size, that was like really fun to watch. And he was also like not taken seriously by Vince. Vince had like something else totally in mind for him, come up with a southern accent just because of his appearance. But this guy's actually from the north. He's from New York. He's from Rochester.
He
And
looks big and he looks a very different person, but that's the character.
and now, AEW has done a great job with, making him look really polished. And he's been a great leader. He's almost like his former leader at the Wyatt family, like Bray Wyatt. He is the counterpart of that character in AEW. And the Dark
Yeah.
Order is growing. They've even added a woman now, Anna Jay, who's also very talented. If you've seen her compete at AEW Dark, and it looks like Tay Conti, who used to be in NXT before as Tainara Conti, she's also on her way to like joining the faction. So, and I remember
So
last
yeah,
year when I attended AEW All Out, like there was a match between the Dark Order and the Best Friends, which was like pretty much designed for everybody to go for a toilet break. Nobody cared about them back then, but now everybody loves the Dark Order, like the stuff that they've been doing with them.
when you gradually improve things, you can see if you see those effects, people start to care
Mhm.
more, and that's what AEW is doing. They're slowly and
Mhm.
slowly, improving,
The
because the main
conditioning,
faction at the yeah, because the main faction at the time was Chris Jericho and his team.
the inner
Uh,
circle.
yeah, so that was the main focus. And even
Mhm.
in the inner circle, you see Jack Swagger coming back to wrestling. He was not even seen anywhere, and he came.
Yep.
Um, we have talked about AEW and we talk about the NXT. I like to do one more. I like to go over two more topics actually. The first topic I want to go over is Thunderdome, the WWE Thunderdome. What do you think about that?
It's a bang up idea. I love it. It was something really, really cool. It's a really innovative way to like, bring back that, audience feel once again on, Raw and SmackDown. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown as much as like I used to. I totally give up on those shows because they're not as great as they once were. But when I saw certain videos on Twitter of like when Drew McIntyre was making his entrance, he looked elated. He was very happy, like he felt like, there was a live crowd again. And when I could see the screens, there were like so many fans who were happy and like very, very involved in this show, like clapping for like entrances. And, it felt like, they were part of the, industry again. So I'm really happy for WWE that way.
I think with Vince McMahon, I think if we like him or not, we have to admit one thing, that he is a visionary, and he was the first one. He saw like in the Premier League. I follow football, so in
Hmm.
the Premier League they did the same thing with the fans. They just made a
Hmm.
video, like they made a big screen where people can see the matches.
Right.
I think he got the idea from there,
Hmm.
and he's done a bang up job. I think there will be 1,000 fans easily on those screens, and they all are just happy because people want to see this. The
Hmm.
people want to be entertained. They don't want to
Yeah,
listen to the COVID-19 nonsense that's going on. They want to be entertained. And
exactly.
WWE and AEW, they've both been brilliant. They've both been outstanding, and we have to
Hmm.
give them credit because
For
many
sure.
people, I believe, they don't give wrestling that much of respect compared to other sports because they
Hmm.
think it's all play acting. But
Yeah,
with Matt Hardy's recent bump, if people see it in normal life, people who don't follow wrestling, they'll be like, "Oh my God, what are they doing?" But
that's
as
what I
wrestling
tell
fans,
people. Like, wrestling is not all fake. It's not 100% fake. It's not 100% real. The risks that they take are 100% true and real. The injuries are also 100% real. Many wrestlers had to, give up and retire because of their injuries, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Edge,
yeah,
Shawn Michaels, all of these guys, and Daniel Bryan for a brief moment as well. But some of them, they just don't care. And you have to give WWE and AEW credit, like you said, as well as the Impact. They were going on. They were like the only sport in America that was still going on during the COVID. They took the right
yeah.
measures, and they made sure that the show still went on air, and to give people the entertainment that they needed during these tough times. So you really have to appreciate pro wrestling, which I feel a lot of people are just unaware of, and they just don't understand like the effort it takes, and how much these wrestlers sacrifice their well-being for our entertainment.
Well, what do you think they don't give them respect? Because it's been going on for so many years, and we've been fans since 15 years. 15, 16 years. Why do you think people don't give them that much respect? This particular thing as a sport.
Mostly because there are other similar combat sports out there, like MMA and Bellator and UFC. So they prefer to see those things because they feel it's more real, which they are right. Those are 100% real fights. But WWE can't be compared to UFC because they are not the same thing. UFC is
Yeah.
mixed martial arts and WWE is professional wrestling. And another thing they make a mistake is when they call WWE a sport. They are not a sport. They are sports entertainment. That's what they're missing
Yeah.
out on. They have fused. Vince McMahon has done a great job by fusing sport with entertainment, like by integrating drama with sport, and
But yeah,
it's paid
he was
off
the
really
first
well.
one. Yeah, but he was the first one to really push into the superstars to call it sports entertainment, call it
Hmm.
sports entertainment. Like the
Yep.
previous wrestlers, like Randy Orton or Shawn Michaels, they don't say it sports entertainment. They say it's pro wrestling because they've been growing up since the 80s. They have been wrestling like that. They're
Hmm.
growing up in a different breed. I want to talk to you about the women revolution, the women wrestling in both AEW and NXT and WWE. You can go with AEW. I'll go with NXT because I don't follow AEW women wrestling that much.
Hmm.
So I don't know, have no idea as to what are they. So yeah, you can go ahead.
To be honest, the women's wrestling hasn't been all that great in AEW. That's the one area I really feel that they should strongly develop because we don't see them all that much on AEW Dynamite anymore. We just see them from time to time and mostly on AEW Dark, which is their YouTube show, which is also a great show for those people who can't get enough of AEW Dynamite. um I feel like they should invest more in some of the they've got a plethora of talent there. They've got a lot of women in AEW, but it seems like they're just focused on Dr. Britt Baker and Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. I feel Penelope Ford is a real can be a real draw for them in terms of ratings because she has got that charisma like Adam Cole, and she
Mhm.
is amazingly talented in the ring. I don't know if you've seen her match with Hikaru Shida like a couple of months ago on AEW. She that was like one of the best women's wrestling matches I've ever seen. Like especially that part where she dodged the missile drop kick. She just did like a backward split, which was
Mhm.
crazy. We've never seen anything like that before. Penelope Ford is very, very talented in the ring, and I feel if she was given the opportunity, she can definitely take the women's revolution to the next step. And women's wrestling in WWE is a hell of a lot better. In fact, I'm gonna go on to say that it's even better than the men's division in WWE because the stuff that they've been doing with Sasha Banks and Bailey, it was just incredible.
With the revolution, I think you have to give Charlotte a lot of credit. You have to give Bay, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, who's pregnant and she's not active right now.
Hmm.
But in Ronda Rousey, when they main evented WrestleMania, they put women wrestling on the map. Alexa Bliss, she was not involved in those feuds, but she was she's so important.
Yep. Yeah,
Women
they
wrestling,
definitely took it, to the top with the women's wrestling. They raised the bar. Before, you'd never see women, competing in matches like Hell in a Cell or
yeah.
Money in the Bank or Elimination Chamber, and they're doing that now. So you have to give WWE credit for that.
But it's a lot more brutal now. It's a lot more real, because before women wrestling was okay. They're gonna come and do the bikini fights and all whatnot. Before when Tori
Hmm.
Wilson Sable was there, but
Yep.
then Trish Stratus and even Trish Stratus was eye candy. She
Yep.
became later a better wrestler because she had Lita, a rival. They were two people who were there, who were ready to give everything they had to
Yep.
that particular match. And with Lita, I would say that she's not been given that much of credit as Trish has been given in terms of legendary
For
status.
sure.
But Lita is up there with Trish, because
I
some of the
feel
things she has done.
Lita was a much better wrestler than Trish because
Exactly.
she was way more talented. She did all those crazy risky moves like the moonsault and the Hurricane Rana, which I can't remember Trish ever doing. Trish was just like charismatic and very appreciated by fans, I feel. But Lita is a lot more underrated compared to her, like you said. I agree with you on that.
No, so we covered all the topics now. For the future, do you think um men's wrestling will get better? Because in WWE, AEW is going ahead in streets ahead of WWE right now because it's much more entertaining than
Hmm.
WWE. I'm talking about Raw and SmackDown here.
Hmm.
AEW is brilliant. With WWE, they need to give, I think, AJ Styles the push again because he's a face that people get attracted to in terms of his wrestling and his promos, and he's not. He's in the Intercontinental Championship feud with Sami Zayn, who's back. So, are you happy with Sami Zayn coming back because he's such a big wrestler?
For sure, but I'm not happy with the way how they've like approached with his character. Like, Sami
Yeah.
Zayn. I don't know if you've seen his stuff on NXT or
Uh,
seen his stuff in the Indies where he used to go by El Generico. He was like
yeah.
really cool, but now
Hmm.
they've turned him into this little clown. Which is pretty much Vince's MO. He ruins a lot of personalities that come from the Indies and NXT. So in a way, I'm glad that he's back and he's once again on TV. But I don't agree with one comment that you made about AJ Styles, being once again the main star, because AJ Styles said that he's going to be done with pro wrestling soon. This is his last contract he's going to sign. Now, what I feel is they should be focusing on building new stars like Aleister Black, like Ricochet, and there are a bunch of others. But I feel, in my opinion, Aleister Black should be the next face of the company because he has that aura. Like he is insanely talented in the ring. He's very good with his feet, and he's also great with promos. And he's just a very interesting, individual. But Vince McMahon completely slaughtered him, along with Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. These guys can, like put a lot of butts in seats. Basically, they were so exciting to watch in NXT. Like Ricochet with the things he did there, and Aleister Black's promos and his basic acting and stuff. It was just so fun to watch. But now unfortunately, they got called up, and like most of the other NXT call ups, they've suffered the brunt of it. By being not taken seriously by Vince McMahon.
They're suffering what Finn Balor suffered for the past 2 years, and he went back to NXT. And look at him now. I want to talk about one more thing that's going on. One more big name, which is Brock Lesnar. His
Hmm.
contract is up apparently with WWE,
Yeah.
and people are saying that he might go to AEW. So, do you think he might, or and if he doesn't, do you think it's a good thing if he goes to AEW?
I don't think AEW needs him because AEW, they already have monsters like Brock Lesnar there. They have Brody Lee. They have the Machine Brian Cage, and they have the Murdoch Lance Archer, and they have Luchasaurus. They're all amazing, big men. So I don't
Hmm.
think Brock Lesnar is like a necessity for AEW unless if they're really looking for publicity, then they could bring him there. But I wouldn't want to see him win the title there, because if
I
he's
will
gonna
ruin
have
it again.
the same schedule as he was having in WWE, come, leave, goodbye, come back again, one more match, leave, goodbye, then they should never give him the title. He should just have big fights with guys like Lance Archer, Jericho, just have good matches, but don't give him the belt.
I think one of the reasons you mentioned regarding the WWE, sorry, regarding the AEW championship, that if they give him, I think the ratings will go down because they really admire John Moxley being there every single week. He's there. He's building the stars. He's involved in the projects,
Hmm.
also involved in the storylines. And if Brock Lesnar goes to AEW, WWE would win the war, and AEW will actually become useless. But I don't think they will sign him in any
I'm
way.
not
If they are,
sure if they will exactly lose the war. I think it would give them a spike in terms of ratings. A lot of WWE fans will switch over to AEW. That's what could happen. But if they like book him the same way that WWE did, then they will lose their existing fans. That's what would happen, and
Correct.
AEW is aware of that. Tony Khan is a very smart businessman. He won't let that happen.
So yeah, let's. I'm hoping for what. Let's see what happens with AEW and WWE, and
Hmm.
regarding whatever topics we talked about. Thank you so much. This is all the time we have. 45 minutes are up.
All good,
So
man. I'm. It was a pleasure being here. Talking to you about this to your followers, and it was a great discussion. Hope to do this again. I wish you all the best in your channel, and we hope to stay in touch about more wrestling stuff that comes up in the future.
yeah, man. If the podcast goes really well, I'll call you again every single week. Just to get more insights into WWE and AEW. So thank you. That was Atif. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please
Thank you,
leave a
everyone.
like, share, subscribe. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Take care. See you, man.
Good night. Thank you, Kunal. See ya.
See you, man. Bye.